Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time doing part 2 of JLA Act of God issue number 2. Now, I'm sorry it's been a while. I finally found out that it's been released in graphic novel form, picked it up, and now I've got it. So, the cover we have is mainly Toyman crashing down a building where he's saying, "You're mine, Lex, and you're dead." And so one of the security officers say that it's time to go. He's like, "Get back to your station and hold all cells. But now, or you're fired." When you think about it, his life is in danger. And I know he's got this all planned out, so yeah. So you have Booster Gold and Blue Beetle showing up and getting into action. Now, the problem is, most of Booster Gold's tech is either technology-based or mystical-based. So he gets to work, and then then Toyman is like, "Time for my ace in the hole. Time for my belly button." And he releases all of the tech-themed supervillains, and they start freezing him and beating the crap out of him miserably. And it's like, "Flight ring's damaged, and Beetle's going down too. Kill him!" Until they knock him down, and even knock down Blue Beetle's ship. And mainly, they end up getting knocked out. And Lex is like, "Good enough, clowns. Now leave there. I'll question before there are questions to answer," when he sees a National Guard. And then Toyman asks where they're going, and the National Guard show up, saying, "Alright, attack at will." Now, I'm actually surprised they're this well equipped to deal with a giant mecha-themed robot. And they start firing at it, and you see Hawkman show it, saying, "You're too far away. You'll never make that shot from here." What? Now, when you think about it, Hawkman is technically mystical-based. And shouldn't he disappear? Yeah, this comic is kind of confusing. And they start firing at him. It's like, "No! The main circuit's blowing out! Losing all control!" Hotman flies off, and Booster Gold and Blue Beetle get away. And afterwards, they see that Steel's dead, and looks surprisingly intact. And Lex Luthor talks with Toyman and says that he's planned the whole thing, and that the hired goons he had were working for him. And Blue Beetle's like, he's gone. Steel's dead. Yeah. And so, meanwhile, the news crew are talking about what's going on, and Lois is mainly like, "I know you must be feeling, but I wish you did, Lois. But you can't know, because you're human." And so Lois Lane takes this personally and kind of feels a bit like a gold digger, saying, "Oh God, forgive me, Clark, but I can't bear this anymore. I can't bear to be with you like this." "I know. I don't blame you, Lois." Now, Lois and Clark are meant to be the examples of a good relationship, because Lois cares a lot about Clark and would try and get him help, like an intervention or something. This kind of makes her a bit of a gold digger. And he crushes the ring, and surprisingly enough draws blood from it, and says, "I just bleed. I'm sorry, Lois. Goodbye." And so, meanwhile, Martian Manhunter meets Steel's niece, Natasha, shows him to the tech room, and they find out that all the tech in there has been stolen. And meanwhile, Billy Batson, who is actually taking this surprisingly well, and I give him a lot of respect, because he's not going all emo or anything, saying, "Shazam! Nothing! Shazam!" And so he decides to head back to work, and I'm actually surprised Doug Mollett didn't ruin this character. I give him some respect. So, Clark mainly heads to Lois, and says that how he couldn't sleep, how he couldn't go to the Fortress of Solitude, and how it's shut. And one of them is like, were we too arrogant, Clark? The Superman and the Wonder Woman being so excited that we felt like gods? Now, you didn't felt like gods. You were mainly helping people. And so, mainly they decide to form a relationship. And yeah, this is where Doug Mollett forces the characters in. I think this is why I like Kingdom Comes better, because mainly Wonder Woman acted like a friend, and a development was soon brought in, because in Kingdom Comes, Clark lost Lois and went into solitude, and Wonder Woman didn't take advantage of anything and acted like a concerned friend did. So meanwhile, Booster Gold is in the tech room and talks about how some of the tech has been stolen. And meanwhile, at Guy Gardner's bar, he's like, "Fall from grace? My God, what kind of title is that? Are you a professional nutjob or just a whack on the side? What? Hey, I don't give a horn owl's hoot for trash. I like to trash. Crass. I want to reach the public, not fancy and all that." And so they mainly talk about how Rex is now back to normal, and how they're gonna, make bucks out of everything. And they're even talking about selling some of the tech to the Justice League, who didn't want to stay normal. Kind of a dick thing to do. And so Clark and Diana take full advantage of each other. And one of them stupidly throw their beer at a biker. He's like, "'Cause we're gonna use to be tough. Back before our seatbelts. Now we gotta be thinking about all that." And so they start beating the crap out of each other, no doubtly destroying everything around them. And they even destroy the Guy Gardner thing. And he's like, "Make room! You wimps are Guy Gardner's diving in!" And so mainly Lois is like, Why can't I love who he is rather than what he was? Yeah, pure gold diggerness. And so the guys leave off drunk and talk about their future plans. Meanwhile, Linda Danvers is amazingly made a police officer. Now, it takes years of training, but my guess is that her father probably got her in much earlier. And mainly, John Jones is looking at what's going on, and Linda Danvers is thinking about her days as Supergirl, and the officer's like, "Start the daydream, Danvers, and finish that arrest report." Yes, sir. And Flash is having a nightmare about when he failed to save a cop. He's like, "You let me die. No, please, I tried to. Shut up!" And so he wakes up in a cold sweat, and meanwhile, some of the Justice League members are talking about what they used to be, but they decide to go for some help. And meanwhile, Joker talks about taking over other places and such, and so on. So meanwhile, the Justice League head to the Batcave to ask Batman for help, and he's like, "Learn what exactly? Such as guns? No." And he remembers the day when his parents got gunned down, and he asks Robin to set up the training course. He's like, "Hi guys, hope you got hot tubs at home." And so meanwhile, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Rex Mason are treating this like a big cash thing. So meanwhile, Sonar 2 is causing trouble, and I'm surprised enough that he probably hasn't washed himself in days, that Kyle Rayner is still wearing his costume. I'm surprised the landlord hasn't been called in to check out what the smell was. And the team start training. Roy West takes this personally and leaves. Meanwhile, at Jensen Bionics, Ray Palmer signs up for the experiment, and Lex Luthor learns about this, part of his experiments and such. And Roy West looks at the Flash Museum and remembers what he used to be. Meanwhile, Diana and Clark are slowly building up their relationship and ask Clark that he should try get a normal job. And surprisingly enough, Ray Palmer is back to being the Atom after being shrunken down, and turns out he can't shrink back. Meanwhile, the League of Training and Rory asks for one more chance, where the Justice League's members congratulate Rory. So meanwhile, Ray Palmer learns that Jensen Labs are using them as test subjects, and the fact that they don't care who dies, and plan to sell off to the highest bidder. And learns more about the experiments. And Kyle Rayner remembers what he used to be, and trashes his telescope in that. So meanwhile, Ray Palmer tries to answer the phone, but due to him being small, John Jones can't answer it. He's like, "Speak up, please. Anybody there? I'm sorry. Must be a bad connection. Please call back." Yeah, you think Ray Palmer would probably thought about this? I mean, he can shrink to the size of an atom. It's not going to work. So he decides to leave a message, and as soon as Ray Palmer gets big, he ends up blowing up. Yeah. So the story, kind of alright, but I feel like characters are out of place, and the only one who feels really mature about this is Billy Batson. So I give this a thumbs in the middle. Kind of alright, but could have been better. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.